Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. If you like The Mike Wagner Show and you want to make your own podcast, well, let me tell you about Anchor. First of all, it's free. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can also add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. You can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and E11 enjoys about how its celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for it goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, one of our 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music. Also heard on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few networks coming soon. Take The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, baseball gear. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific singer-songwriter who grew up in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, and despised apartheid at an early age, and talks about that. She began a music career at the age of 11, starting playing guitar and singing. Also studied music and government as well. She moved to Philadelphia back in the early 80s and joined When Voices Meet. Also, she was involved with the Peace Train, Disney World, and the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Fest. And also, she's had some releases called Imbizo and also Side by Side. And of course, she's got a brand new song and a brand new album. And yes, we can be the change. And can we be the change? We'll certainly talk about that. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Philadelphia, the city of the brotherly love. And yes, we can be the change. Ladies and gentlemen, the very multi-talented singer-songwriter from South Africa to Philly to you, Sharon Katz. Sharon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, hi, Mike. Wow, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here, and I can't wait to share, all the knowledge and the stories with your listeners. I'm sure you've got a lot of loyal fans, and I'm honored to be here and being broadcast all over the world.
And of course, it's great to have you on board as well, too. You grew up in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, despite apartheid at an early age. You began your music career at the age of 11, started singing and playing guitar. You later studied music and government, and you also moved to Philadelphia in the early 80s and joined When Voices Meet. You're also involved with the Peace Train, Disney World, and also New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Fest. And you also had some previous releases like Imbizo and Side by Side. And you also have a new song and new album called We Can Be the Change, also featuring the title track, Time Is Right, Santiago, and also Warm Heart as well. And before getting to all that, Sharon, tell us how you first got started.
Well, I wanted to go back to When Voices Meet because it's, you mentioned that I joined When Voices Meet. And actually, When Voices Meet is the name of a production that I founded and started in Durban, South Africa, which is not my hometown. My hometown, as you mentioned, is Port Elizabeth, and you so rightly said that I grew up with a distinct distaste for the apartheid government that was the government of the day. And in fact, I could say that I despised them, which are the words you used correctly. But you know, we survived, if I can put it that way, the apartheid years in South Africa. Um, and I went on to be able to post apartheid now. After Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, I was actually by this time already studying music therapy right here in the city where I am today, Philadelphia. I don't live here anymore, by the way, but I'm on a tour and I'm visiting here. But back in 92, you know, those were the days just after well, apartheid was still really in place. Mandela had just been released from prison. There was actually a civil war in South Africa. All different political parties were vying for power at that particular time. And we were still living under the enormous burden and yoke of oppression under the apartheid regime. There was still 4 years before elections. The elections only came in 1994. So these were 4 critical years in South Africa, and with the communities being so divided, one from the other, black and white, Indian and biracial, I decided which better way to intervene than music. And so I devised this concert. I called it When Voices Meet. We brought together 500 children to sing together, 500 children of all different races. And it, of course, involved their families as well, their schools, their synagogues, their mosques, their churches, because it was a huge community endeavor which took about 6 months to put together. And then finally we came to the stage. And we did this beautiful, beautiful concert with a big band and the 500 children singing together. I wrote songs in different languages, Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, English, you know, mixed up all these different genres. And it was enormously successful. There were thousands of people that came to watch these productions. And that was the beginning of the project, which then has been known as the Peace Train for the past 30 years, almost
Wow.
30 years. Next year will be our 30th anniversary. And the Peace Train was the concept that I put together with my producer, Marilyn Cohen. And we devised a way to take the choir, as it were, this production, When Voices Meet, on tour, on the rails. Instead of, we couldn't find a bus big enough for 500. We also couldn't find enough sponsors for 500, but we took 150 of the choir members. We took the band, we took the crew, the film crew, even my friends, Ladysmith Black Mambazo. At that time, they were just getting noticed through worldwide, but we knew because of Paul Simon's Graceland, but we
I
knew
remember
them in
that.
South Africa, right? I'm sure you do. And they wanted to come and they wanted to be a part of this movement for change. And Joseph Shabalala himself really wanted to be a part of it. They came on the train. They were with us for 2 weeks on the train, and we went from place to place in South Africa. We called the project the Peace Train because it was into an atmosphere of utter violence that we were moving on this train. It wasn't peaceful times. These were very difficult times before the elections, before the election of Nelson Mandela. And so that was the Peace Train project, and we continued all the years since, even to this day, doing projects in various parts of the world um, in the name of the Peace Train and bringing communities and youth together and writing music in different languages. And right now I'm actually stationed in Mexico on the border, the United States, the San Diego, Mexico border in the town of Tijuana, Mexico. So my path has led me on all these many, many different journeys, but one thing has always remained the same, and that is it's all about compassion, and it's all about trying, for me, Mike, you know, to use the medium of music and to bring people together across the divides. And whatever those kinds of divides are, and sure we know we got plenty of them in the world. That's always been my mission, and I've been lucky to be able to do this work and to still be able to do the work and to have the joy that I get from playing music with so many different people and so many different cultures. And it's really truly a labor of love. It hasn't always been easy, but I'm not I don't regret anything because I believe that we have brought some measure of peace wherever we've gone, and I'm just blessed to be able to continue doing this work.
And it's certainly amazing as well too, having Smith, Black Monzabo, as part of the peace train as well too. And of course, you mentioned Paul Simon. Maybe think of it back in the day where he really put South Africa on the map. Before that, all the music wasn't really out there until Paul Smith pretty much brought out in the open, which is amazing too. And of course, you had all these musicians that you worked with as well too. And going back to your early years as well too, and being involved with the music. Who are some of your favorite artists, singers, songwriters, and favorite musicians growing up?
It's a great question, and there were so many. But one of my heroes was actually a person and a musician, a singer-songwriter, and an activist that I got to meet and spend a lot of time with, Pete Seeger.
Oh,
And I
yes,
met
yes,
Pete,
one of the more
yeah,
prominent ones.
I met Pete in the year 2000 when my band was picked to go and perform at the Hudson Clearwater Revival Festival. Post peace train, I came back to the United States and we got a recording contract and we got a booking agent, and a lot of wonderful things happened to the band in around about the 2000 mark. And we got to meet Pete and spend a lot of time with him. And, I used to have that record, We Shall Overcome, when I was just, I think, maybe 13 years old. And I had a poster on my wall of Dr. King. I don't know how these things were smuggled into South Africa. They were banned by the South
Mm.
African apartheid government. And but I had friends, and my older brother and sister, they had friends who smuggled things in, and they got into my little hands. And at the same time, I was actually breaking a lot of laws of the country to go and visit my black friends who were activists and actors. And so the great actor John Carney, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, Ethel Fugard, who was also a renowned playwright. And they were doing what was called protest theatre at the time. It was underground in the sense that their plays would be produced in the basement of churches. It was all secretive. Even to get there was a secret kind of entrance to get in, and the police would have probably locked everybody up, all of us. But I met the actors when I was about 15 years old, and I really wanted to go and visit them in their homes, and I did. And I broke the laws of the country to go and do that. My friends would hide me under blankets to go through these barriers when I was a teenager. And and I grew up with that passion, that I knew that black people in South Africa were just being grossly mistreated and abused. And I also knew that Mandela was in jail all those years. And eventually, there would be a time when we could have freedom in South Africa and have a free and fair election. And so Pete Seeger's, song "We Shall Overcome" and all of the songs that he sang about, if I had a hammer of justice, all of these things, those meant a lot to me as a child, and to meet him when I was now, an adult, in going fast forwarding into like 2001, 2002, and to have Pete Seeger sitting and chatting to me, and just being great friends for all those years. It's really, I feel really honored, truly honored. And then of course to admit, you were talking about music, but I can't help reflecting now, on having met Nelson Mandela on many, many occasions, and having been picked to perform for Nelson Mandela, and to have met some of the most amazing musicians who did influence my life: Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masakela. These are legends of South Africa that, you never thought that you would meet people like this. Richie Havens, some of the American,
hmm
artists, Bonnie Raitt. I've met a lot of incredible artists that, have touched my life in many, many different ways. And I'm really honored to have been recorded by Sting at one point, on a benefit concert for the Rainforest Foundation.
hmm
They came and recorded us in South Africa singing the national anthem with my children's choir. And performing at the famous New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. So, these are incredible experiences to cherish and look back on, and they kind of make you who you are in
Hmm.
many ways. So again, I thank there's so many people and friends and supporters, as well as my own producer Marilyn. That I couldn't have done any of it without all the help, and the support that I've had over the
You,
years.
you know something we mentioned Paul Simon earlier as well too, being South Africa. Also, Peter Gabriel had been involved with South
Yeah.
Africa. That made me think of it's like that's another one that just
Yes,
cropped up on the top of my head. Yes.
I always loved Yusu Endure, the collaboration that Peter Gabriel did with Youssou N'Dour from West Africa, from Senegal. I loved his music. I still really admire these artists. I think they're tremendous, and they did an awful lot for the genre of world music. Bringing it into the limelight and helping the rest of the world to hear what was kind of hidden. Because, as you know, poverty just causes people to be oppressed and to not see the light of day. So there are many, many times where it really helps to have a prominent artist like Paul Simon, to bring artists and to give them a voice. I've always cherished that opportunity myself, and I think it's really important. And you know, um, it's an important aspect of what I do, which is to help others to have a voice as much as I can. So I understand how difficult it is to get a stage, in this industry. And so I really try to make it my business to extend opportunities whenever I can to more and more artists whenever I can.
And you also put out some amazing music as well too. You had a couple of releases like Imbizo, Side by Side. You also had some other albums you had released. You also got some new music out there. We'll talk about that. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. SonicWeb Studios is the answer. SonicWeb Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, one of our 40 podcast platforms. Heard in over 100 countries, also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and few networks coming soon. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. For great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with the amazing singer, songwriter, and multi-talented Sharon Katz here on the Mike Wagner Show, and talking about experiences growing up in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, and also moving to Philadelphia as well too, and having her production when voices meet, and also involved with Peace Train. You also been involved with Disney World and the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Fest, and tell about those before getting to your other music.
Well, thanks, Mike, and congratulations, all the things that you just shared about yourself and your company.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, I'll have to look into that Sonic. What is it?
So it's Sonic Web Studios. So
Sonic Web Studios.
it's 1-800-303-3960. 1-800-303-3960. Just mention the show, get 20% off your first project, and then hopefully you're writing this down. If you need the number again, you can you can get it afterwards. So yeah, I'm glad you asked about it. It's like they would really appreciate if you did. So
Sounds really exciting. But you were asking about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival and Disney World. Well, that was part of our tour in 1995. Now, this was post-elections, and of course there was euphoria in South Africa for over 90% of the country. I would say probably 97% of the country, because Mandela was the darling of almost everybody, really. And when he became president, it was incredible in South Africa. Nobody could believe that this was actually happening. As you know, I'm sure you remember, and almost everybody that is alive today will remember what happened in 1994. Our elections, the first democratic elections in South Africa. Nelson Mandela became president. We had already had our peace train tour in December prior. And in 1994, we had the elections, and we continued being very, very active as the Peace Train project during this time. And in 1995, we were invited to do an 8-city tour in the United States, starting off with Disney World, which was incredible. We performed at the Epcot Center. We went on tour with 45 member production. We had the choir and the band, a 12-piece band and a 30-member choir. And we also had the film crew, and we had chaperones to help with the children. But we were 45 people altogether.
Wow.
And Quint Davis, the producer of the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, hosted us in New Orleans in a beautiful hotel. We had the incredible privilege of performing on the Congo Square stage, which is massive, and we had 100,000 people that came to the concert. It was
Wow.
unbelievable. The only other time that I remember seeing so many people in one place was when we performed for Nelson Mandela's last rally before he became president in 1994. That was enormous. I mean, people as far as you can see, and we had that repeat experience in New Orleans, and it is documented. And there was a documentary film that was released in 2015, which I'll tell you about. It was also called When Voices Meet. And so maybe that's also a little confusion, because it was the original concert I called When Voices Meet in 1992. Then we had the Peace Train tour. Then we went to the United States. And then in 2015, a documentary was made about the Peace Train project called When Voices Meet. So, you know, it's a lot to take in, but there is a film. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on YouTube as well, because I wanted people to be able to see this for free and not to struggle to ever
Mm-hmm.
not see the film. And it's When Voices Meet, and anybody could click on, and you'll see the footage from the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and Disney World. So it was incredible, because we got the opportunity to represent the new South Africa, to be a non-racial democracy, to be all these colors and cultures together side by side, children and adults. And yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm really proud that we were able to do that. It was difficult times. It was all new, and there was a lot of opposition, to what was going on. The white minority regime did not want to give up power. And in still some instances in South Africa still do not want to give up power, but it was a wave of change, and it had to change. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it had to change, and I'm really happy that we were at the forefront of that change, and that it was a successful evolution. Not perfect by any means, but then what country in the world is perfect right now,
Mm.
right?
That
We need
that's
the people everywhere.
it's difficult. Yeah, I can't think of a perfect one, to be honest with you. It's like I just can't at this point. I really can't.
That's what I was asking you, so because a lot of people will say, "Oh, what's happening in South Africa today?" Well, it's not perfect, it's not nirvana, but we had a successful transition. We had a peaceful transition, and that was the most important thing. Mandela came with his calmness, with his attitude, with his patience, with his listening skills, with his compassion. And I think we all learned from that. And we, as our Peace Train project, that's what we did. What we preached was like, let's get together here. Let's try to put aside our differences. Let's listen to each other. Let's try and sort it out peacefully. And that's what we taught the young people that came through the peace train. So they're all adults. I'm the only one that hasn't aged.
But you're doing amazing. I said that you're doing amazing. I mean, the experience on you, it's just like, just amazing. I admire you for that. So
Oh, thanks, Mike. Well, it's driven by music and joy. It's driven by I wouldn't be able to do this work if I didn't go have a stage to look forward to. I'm driven by being on the stage. So I'm really looking forward to my next concerts, which are on the actually I'm going to a music festival. It's a South African food and wine festival in
ooh,
Virginia, taking place on September 10th and 11th, and I'll be going with my Philadelphia band to perform there for 2 days. We do 4 concerts, and then I've just got a string of concerts all the way across the country and then back to San Diego. But I'm excited about the new album, We Can Be the Change. I love the songs, and I recorded that in South Africa and in Cuba. Have you
oh
ever been to
wow.
Cuba?
How do you like that? It's like
I
you can do
loved
things
it.
in Cuba now. I mean, if the Rolling Stones can play in Cuba, anybody can nowadays. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like, who's going to be in Cuba next? You never know. So,
It was fantastic. Well, we were there in 2019. So it's a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic. And I got to spend 6 weeks in Cuba. I spent a month developing a production in Santiago de Cuba, which is on the east. I had to brush up my Spanish very quickly because I was working with a lot of families and children, a beautiful production. It's also on YouTube, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, the standard of musicianship in Cuba, I can't say enough about it. It was
hmm.
really, really high. And the enthusiasm and the passion and hard work that people bring to production of music, they're not joking. They don't play. They're like, we've got a show or we've got a recording and we're going to do this. And they are really incredible. So I also got to record the album there. And those songs that you mentioned, Santiago and We Can Be the Change, well, I recorded those. Actually, We Can Be the Change, the song, I started it in South Africa and completed it in Cuba.
Ah,
So there
interesting.
are, yeah, I recorded in South Africa, and then there are other songs that I recorded in Cuba, and then I took we completed them in South Africa because my producer, my music producer, is a South African sound engineer. His
Hmm.
name is Malcolm Nkleko, and he happens to also be the engineer for Ladysmith Black Mambazo. He's their live
Wow.
sound engineer, and he grew up with us in the Peace Train project. He's an incredibly brilliant young man, and very, very proud of him. On my way to South Africa in November, and the songs that I'm currently working on, a new album, I'll be adding to them when I get to South Africa. But will you have time to play any of the music on your show, or how does
I,
that work?
actually, I can. I can play some of the music in the audio version of the Mike Wagner Show, and the video
Oh,
part. It's like we're just talking. We'll encourage everybody to, check out the songs after the audio interview. There are people who do listen. There are people who
great.
do view, and that's the best part about it. So it's like you can probably maybe like file in braille or whatever it is, and communicates in every language. And of course, speaking of communication, music, and everything else, this just came to mind that when you're in Cuba with all the amazing artists out there, and of course, back in the day, Cuba had some amazing artists as well, like
Oh,
Perez
yeah.
Prado, and I think you had it's like I'm trying to think some more influential ones with Tito Fuentes, and I think there was like some back in the 50s and 60s before
Wow.
Castro came in and shut everything down, and then used to have a new influx of Cuban talent came in. And of all the Cuban talent that you have worked with, who are some of the up and coming stars or talents do you think is going to really make it big in Cuba, or come
Wow.
to the United States, or prominent worldwide?
Gosh, that's a really hard one. I'm really hard pressed to think. I have to really put me on the spot right now.
There are no right or wrong answers. Don't worry.
There's so many artists that come to mind, and even what really blew my mind was just going out to clubs in Cuba and hearing the incredible talent just on a daily basis. Um, I'm trying to think of, but of course, because you put me on the spot, my mind's going on blank. So maybe I can just come back to it because I do have my one of my favorite artists is on my mind, and she won a Grammy a couple of years ago, but it's just gone out of my brain for a second. I might have to just
Oh, that's okay. You can
refresh
take your
my
time on
mind.
that.
But I'm working with a wonderful choral director, Cuban in Tijuana, where I currently live. Her name is Daria, so I'll just give her a shout out because to me, she's one of the great talents. She's a wonderful singer. She's a wonderful choral director, and we work together almost on a daily basis in Tijuana because I went to Tijuana primarily to work not only with her but with a community project that has choirs in the neighborhoods of Tijuana. And so I've been representing South Africa and practicing my own form of music therapy and the Peace Train project right there in Mexico. And last year in October, we took a peace train from Tijuana about 4 hours into the hills, and we produced a concert with another couple of hundred children, some of whom are children that live in migrant shelters, who I've been working with, children of families that have come from Honduras, from El Salvador, and from inner parts of Mexico, seeking refuge in the border town, trying to actually, some of them, join their families in the United States. It's complicated, it's really
Hmm.
complicated.
Right.
These families are bringing them all together and giving these children an opportunity to feel like I am somebody. Okay, this is what happened in my background, and I come from here and I come from there. But when they stand up and sing together on a stage, they feel like they are somebody, and they literally stand taller. And I love that. I love that
It's amazing.
feeling. I love seeing it. It's incredible. There are transformations that happen in front of your eyes, and that's what keeps me going. That's what makes me wake up each day. And even during the pandemic, I was living in Tijuana, Mexico, and I was going to work with these children. So I started this project in a shelter, and it made me happy to go there. Everything else was kind of depressing during the pandemic, but I was fortunate that I was able to do that kind of work. And I also worked with children, primarily girls that have been rescued from trafficking.
Oh, yes, that's been a
Oh,
big issue.
whoa.
Sex trafficking, human
Yeah.
trafficking. That's
And
been a big and heartbreaking issue, really heartbreaking.
it is. And every parent that just stops to think about that is horrifying. But once again, music, rubbing shoulders with one another, singing together, dancing, writing songs, composing music together. This is not just a privilege that we songwriters, singer-songwriters, or people on big stages have. It's a privilege that we can give to others, and I enjoy doing that, because it makes people feel good about themselves and forget about the troubles, and feel like they have something to contribute to the world. So I'm very happy that I had a chance to study music therapy here in the city of brotherly love
Mm.
back in the 80s, and that I was able to go home to South Africa and start the Peace Train project, and that I've been able to share my gifts with the world in this particular way. So it's really been an incredible journey.
And it's certainly an incredible journey as well, too. And you do a great job of being the change as well, too. Just a bit about that. You also have your other two releases, in Bezo and Side by Side, and tell us a bit about those. If you have some other albums you want to talk about, other singles, feel free to share as well.
Thank you so much. I should be holding them up here. Well, Imbizo is a very special one. It was also recorded with, I have many, many musicians on that album, and some signature tunes, like some songs that I wrote about Nelson Mandela. And there's a powerful song that I wrote. I had a co-writer, Bolden Abrams. We wrote our own Peace Train song. And I will say not the Cat Stevens song. Cat Stevens, I loved him growing up as well.
Oh, I was just going to mention Cat Stevens. He's one of my favorites. Oh my gosh, yes.
People sometimes think Sharon Katz Cat Stevens, Peace Train. What's going on here?
Sharon
But
Katz Stevens. I like that.
just to dispel the myth, yeah, I'm Sharon Katz, and that was Cat Stevens, and I loved his music. But we had the real train, as I told you, the mess, the real train, a real train, 14 coaches long train with 150 people traveling on it, and that was the Peace Train. But I did write a song called Peace Train, and it's really funky. It's a very funky song. That's on that album, Imbizo, and a
Nice.
host of incredible musicians that appear on that album. And well, I have another album called Lorato, which you didn't mention, and I have done collaborations on an album called Double Take. That's another album that's under my belt. And on those two albums, I collaborated with South African artists, very well-known, legendary artists. Dolly Ratebe, she was known as the Queen of the Blues, Dolly
Nice.
Ratebe, and Abigail Kubeka, who sang in Miriam Makeba's famous girl group, the Skylarks. And I
Wow.
know many people remember Miriam Makeba,
I
because
think I've heard that name before. Was she a part of the Paul Simon thing as well too? I think I've heard that. Yes.
she did sing at the concert that they did, because he wasn't allowed to perform in South Africa, so they all met in Zimbabwe. There was still a cultural boycott on when Paul Simon did the Graceland album, which was very controversial. But they met up in Zimbabwe with Miriam, and Miriam, she passed away a few years ago, several years ago. But Miriam Makeba is very well known for having been produced by Harry Belafonte,
Oh
and
yes, another legend.
exactly. And so she's really was the voice of South Africa during the apartheid years, because when she left South Africa, she told the truth about our country. And then she was in exile. She was never allowed to return home until after the election of 1994. So I got to meet her, I got to sing with her, and then I got to do these two recordings with these two albums with these two legendary artists. So it just, it's a privilege really to have performed with these incredible artists, and to feel that I've been able to take my place as a South African artist, even though I primarily perform abroad, primarily. But that has happened to many artists all around the world.
Hmm.
But I love to perform in South Africa, and I'm looking forward to going back in November and doing concerts when I'm there as well.
And we're certainly looking forward as well too. I plan making a trip down there too, and I love the visit there and everything else. And
Wow.
just one more thing about We Can Be the Change. Where can we find We Can Be the Change and all your works at?
Well, all my songs, everything, all my albums, you can find them on all of the different platforms. They're on Apple Music and Amazon Music, Spotify, you name it, or YouTube. You can even just Google "We Can Be the Change" on YouTube, and the song will come up. And I've got a lot of music videos as well, that have been made over the years. So you'll find them on all of those platforms, and on CD Baby. CDBaby.com is also a very good home for my music. And the best place to go is my website, sharonkatz.com. And that's so easy to remember. It's just my name, Sharon, Sharon, and my last name, Katz.com. And on my music page, you'll find a link to all of my music. I think that's the easiest go-to place. And I'm always happy when people buy the songs or the album. And again, if you look on my website, you'll see where I'm performing. So wherever you are in the country, you can come and see me. I'll be in San Diego coming up pretty soon in October. I have a bunch of concerts in San Diego. So we just continue rolling on. And, we were recently near you, Mike. We were actually in a small town called Cayuga. Have you heard of it?
Cayuca. Let's see.
Ontario.
I'm. Where,
Ontario.
where was it?
Ontario, just across the border from, you said you were up in northern
No, no, I'm
North
no near
Dakota.
Bit no near Bismarck, North Dakota. I think Ontario would
Oh,
be
no,
over by
further.
around New York State. No, that's okay. I mean,
Oh no,
we're
you much further up. You are
no, no,
much.
no, that's okay. I mean, we're all learning our geographical lessons, and we're not ashamed sometimes out know where things are and everything else. But if you're up in Canada, you can also go over by Winnipeg and also go by Brandon, Regina, or you can also sneak over to Vancouver, maybe a few other smaller
Yeah.
places, like say with Markham, Windsor, or
I
even
just
even
went through
London,
Canada.
everything like that. So,
Beautiful, yeah. It's a
you know, a
beautiful
few
country,
yeah,
Canada.
yes, it is, and of course, we're looking forward to seeing you over there. And what else is coming up for the multi-talented Sharon Katz? We'll find out just 1 minute. You'll listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson Missing, available on Amazon paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the multi-talented singer-songwriter Sharon Katz after this time. We're back with the multi-talented singer-songwriter Sharon Katz, growing up in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, then to Philadelphia. And now she's on Tijuana here on the Mike Wagner Show. And Sharon, you give a great wealth of information on South African music, the history, and everything else, and Nelson Mandela and all that. I mean, just great stuff. Thanks for sharing those stories. And once again, what else can we expect from you in 2022 and further beyond, Sharon, especially in 2023?
Wow. Whew. Well, as I told you, I'll be going back to the West Coast. I'll be busy in October in the West Coast. September, I'm here in Virginia doing a bunch of shows. I'll be doing some festivals and going down from Virginia to Asheville and doing some concerts there. Heading back to San Diego and then going to South Africa next year. Um, I'll be moving probably to San Diego, to base in San Diego, and I'll also be doing a lovely Peace Train project, a choral production with the community at the tip of the Baja Peninsula, the
Wow.
Baja California Peninsula. I know a lot of people have heard of Cabo San Lucas. It's a very big resort, but there's a small town called Todos Santos, and I will be working with the local community there, with the children, with the local musicians, because I love to do that. I love to work with the local musicians and bring their brand of music into a production. So I suspect that we will be doing a traditional version of La Bamba, going
Nice.
back to the roots of La Bamba, as
Mm.
opposed to, I love Para Bailar La Bamba. I
Oh,
love
oh,
to sing that.
oh, the Los Lobos version. Yeah, I remember watching that movie, and they did the authentic version where it's just like it didn't have the Richie Valens. It was just like the very traditional, just
Yeah,
guitars
it's
and
really
playing. I
different.
thought, wow, this is really cool. I love it.
It's really different, and I suspect we'll probably put that in because it's educational. There are a lot of North American audience that come down to these places in Mexico, and I'm really really enjoying my time there. And I happened to spend a few weeks in February, and that's how this project was born. So that will be taking place probably January through the end of March, and then I'll be based in San Diego for a while, and I'm planning another tour going up the West Coast for next year,
Nice.
up to Port Angeles, Washington, and hitting some of that coastal area, and a new album. So that's all I can say right now. I don't want to think too far ahead of myself because I want to live in the moment and enjoy
Hmm.
everything that I'm doing right now.
Hmm. And as soon as you put out that new album, you're welcome anytime to come back on the Mike Wagner Show.
Thank
I'm
you.
so looking forward to it. And
Oh,
just a
thank
couple
you
more.
so much. Just a word about we can be the change. You know, I wrote the song. I started it in 2016, and we had a big tour in the United States, and that was a very difficult year. I don't have to go into more details or get too political, but it was a very divisive year. And that song was really, really cooking inside me, and I really expanded on it when I produced the song in South Africa and in Cuba, and I love singing it, and because I truly believe that we don't have to just sit around all the time complaining and thinking about how things could be different. We really
Hmm.
have to try to put ourselves out there like you are with your show. You're doing it. You're giving people a tremendous opportunity to share their story and use their voice when you do that with your show. And I feel that I'd like to continue to try doing the same thing, and that is just to inspire people. And that's important part, to not get depressed with the pandemic or politics, but to know that we can be the change. We just need to keep on being positive and doing positive things and being kind to others and helping this as many people as we can. I think that's why we're here.
Hmm.
So,
And certainly as
can
well
be
too.
the change.
And we're definitely looking forward to it as well. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Wow. So huge. A huge question. Wow. In my career as a musician and as a person, as an artist, well, I have to say Dolly Ratebe because she was a humanitarian as well as an incredibly successful artist, and I know you will have to look her up. Dolly Ratebe, Rathebe. You will have to look her up, and so will all the listeners. And I could say a lot of other people. For example, Bonnie Raitt. I absolutely love Bonnie Raitt, and in fact, I recently met her brother David. He's down on the Baja as well, and we working together now. He's a great musician, so I really love Bonnie as a guitarist. I mean, hats off. Uh,
Amazing.
Other guitarists that I really, really love are many, many South African guitar players like Ray Peary. Ray was on Paul Simon's Graceland album and on all the concerts, and that guitar style that you hear, that was Ray Peary. So I loved his music. I was influenced by him. Pete Seeger, Miriam Makeba, and Dolly, because she had a heart to help other people. And she taught me a lot about that. She taught me that you could be a musician and go to the stage, and at the same time, you can be building and raising money, which is what I do, and fundraising, because I fundraise in South Africa, I fundraise in the United States to help an orphanage in South Africa. I've been doing that for 20 years. And Dolly Ratepe was the one who showed me that. She could 1 minute on the stage and the next minute in the hardware store buying cement to build a school for
Oh,
children
wow,
who don't
amazing.
have a school. So that's the kind of thing that really impacted on me. And I was like, wow, I can do that too. And with the
Hmm.
help of Marilyn, my producer and partner of 30 years, we've been able to do that, and with a lot of friends, and a lot of fans and very generous people. The
Hmm.
United States has really been really good to me, and I really value my dual citizenship, and I just want to say a big shout out to anybody who might, Anne Layton as well. She's one of them who introduced me to you. So many people that have good hearts in this country. Sunny Oakes is another one, the sister of Phil Oakes, the late Phil Oakes. Sunny is also a DJ like you. I know you're more than a DJ, but she's a folk music producer. And
Hmm.
if she ever gets a wind of this interview, I'd like to just say a personal thank you to Sunny, because she helped to promote my career in a very big way. When I wound up the Peace Train project in those years in South Africa, and we came to the United States. That was not an easy jump, and I had to start all over again. So I wanted to say a big thank you to Sunny Oaks and um, so many people.
And certainly did. And list goes on and on as we go into your
Yeah,
great career.
yeah.
And lastly, what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, just keep listening to music, and keep the music and the song in your heart. That's what I want to say. Don't watch too much of the news. Watch enough to know what's going on, but then turn it off and go play some music or listen to music, take up an instrument, go to a dance class, keep fit, keep healthy, and we can all help each other by keeping positive.
hmm And certainly true as well. You've been amazing. Once again, the amazingly multi-talented singer-songwriter Sharon Katz with We Can Be the Change here on the Mike Wagner Show. Sharon, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Loved all your stories and
Thank
experience. Looking
you.
forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep this up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out all your works, including We Can Be the Change?
I think the best thing to do is to go to sharonkatz.com. sharonkatz.com, that's my website, and you'll find everything there. Even if you go onto YouTube and type in Sharon Katz and the Peace Train, or even just my first name, Sharon Katz, you'll find a ton of music and videos and all kinds of stuff over there on all the digital platforms. And don't forget When Voices Meet. It's an 86-minute documentary. I promise you, you'll love it. It won a lot of awards. We were in about 30, over 30 film festivals, and we got a lot of great awards for that film. It's a story very well told, not only about me. It's about my country. It's about the Peace Train Project and about the people and young people's lives that were changed through being in our project. So, When Voices Meet,
We will
check it out.
certainly check that out. Once again, Sharon, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having
Thank
you soon.
you.
Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. We wish all the best. And Sharon, you definitely have a great future ahead of you and love to hear more about your upcoming release.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks very much for having me on your show, and all the best to you. Keep well, and thanks for what you do as well.